Welcome to Donington Park for round 4 of the Dunlop Endurance Championship. In qualifying, double race winners VR Motorsport set the fastest time to claim pole. Tim Gray and Alastair Boulton, 0.7 seconds quicker than the FF Course Ferrari of Ross Wiley and David Mason. Just a tenth behind them, the Simon Green Motorsport McLaren of Lucky Kerr and Lee Frost, with Johnny McGregor qualifying 4th in the Mac G Racing Tiranis. 5th fastest, the championship leaders Paul Bailey and Andy Schultz in the SB Race Engineering Ferrari, and 6th, the Saker of ALP Racing, staying positive despite a disappointing start to the season.
Part of what we try and do here is have a really good team ethic. You know, we want to have fun. Motorsport is expensive, as a lot of people know, so if you can't have fun while you're spending money, then you're just doing the wrong thing. So we do try and keep team motivated. Everyone really enjoys working at ALP. They're all smiley, they're all happy, so you know, we do the best that we can to keep everyone going.
David, is it you that goes out first?
Yeah, that's kind of that's been a big tactics change, hasn't it, for the last couple of seasons for the team. Was that Alan would generally start, just so we could guarantee that he'd get a drive if there was a mechanical failure or an accident at the start. At least Alan drove the car that he owns. But we've changed that tactic, haven't we? And this year I'm starting, try and just find a decent bit of space, put as many good laps in as I can, and then hand over to Alan, and he just tries to maintain as much of that. It seems to work a lot better and takes the pressure off everybody as well, which is nice.
Making their Brit car debut and with a standout livery, Michael Price and Peter Urseg in their Porsche Cayman.
We're really looking forward to it. Me and Mike have competed against each other a lot of times, so this will be the first time we're in the same team. But you know, we're really looking forward to the challenge, and hope you have a great day.
If we can qualify somewhere halfway or better, then I think we'll be in for a good race, because I'm pretty sure we will get faster rather than slower as the day goes on.
We're all set for the rolling start. To the left of the picture, the pole sitter in the blue Praga is Alastair Boulton. In the Ferrari alongside, it's Ross Wiley. As the lights go out, the race gets underway. Wiley makes a good start. An excellent start from 4th. Around the outside is Johnny McGregor in the yellow Tiranis. He slots into 2nd place behind Wiley. 3rd place has gone the McLaren of Lee Frost. You're on board with Tim Docker in Class 4 in the VW. That's Sarah Moore coming past him in the Ginetta. So it's Wiley that leads. McGregor 2nd, Frost in 3rd. Mark Cunningham has come 4th in the Porsche. So down to 5th place for the pole sitter, and in 6th place is David Bryce in the first of the Sakers. Cunningham is the class leader. The other Porsche there of Beluga Racing, driven by Ian Humphries, he's 2nd in class, but right behind him another Class 3 car with the onboard camera. This is Steve Burgess for Forelle Motorsport as they head up through Schwantz Curve for the first time in the race to the top of the hill and into McLean's. Careful not to run wide there. There's Martin Compton in the Team Brit Aston Martin, a little bit late on circuit. He's just coming out of the old hairpin. You're on board with Tim Docker once again as he makes his way into Coppice Corner for the first time in the race. Up ahead, the Ginetta of Sarah Moore, the Top with Motorsports car, which overtook him at the start of the race. Sarah, the reigning Dunlop Endurance champion, as the leaders come over the line to complete lap 1 here at Donington Park. Ross Wiley then ahead of Johnny McGregor. 3rd place in the Simon Green Motorsports McLaren 650S, you've got Lee Frost. So 3 Class 1 cars run 1st, 2nd and 3rd in the race. The Praga in the background, the pole sitter was back up to 4th ahead of Mark Cunningham's Porsche. Here's another Porsche up ahead. That's the Beluga machine of Ian Humphries, getting a bit loose coming out of Redgate Corner. Look, the David Bryce Saker, a Class 2 car, has now moved ahead of Mark Cunningham, who made an excellent start in the Class 3 Porsche. He's down to 5th overall, as we get a replay of the race start. This was the perspective of Steve Burgess in the Ginetta, and look at that, Steve Harris making an excellent start in the Saker, slicing down the inside of everybody. Ian Humphries in the Porsche making a good start, so too Graham Roberts in his Ginetta, and Max Coates in the number 99 Seat. This is a battle which is shaping up nicely now between David Bryce, who's been reeled in by the black Saker of Paul Rose, who finished in 2nd place in race 1 at Brands Hatch last time out. On board again with Steve Burgess, still trying to find a way past Ian Humphries for 2nd in Class 3. They come out of Redgate Corner, and that was a slowing car. The green machine in the background there of Steve Harris, who made an excellent start to the race, but his car is crawling out of Hollywood. Look at this though, nose to tail into the old hairpin here between the Porsche and the Ginetta, and Steve Burgess gets a good exit here as they begin the climb up through Schwantz curve towards McLean's. The Porsche though just edging away here and giving himself some breathing space under braking. The Ginetta I think will come back at him, and a real shame this for Steve Harris in the Seika, which looks like it's limping back to the pits. Steve's been quick in a number of races this year, but hasn't had a great deal of fortune so far during the course of the season. Now his teammate is ahead of David Bryce, so Paul Rose in the other JPR Motorsport Seika has found a way past David Bryce. They're just coming out of Redgate Corner, and Paul looks like he's beginning to edge away, so that's the battle for 5th place. Here's the Beluga Porsche then, still under attack from Steve Burgess there in the number 77 machine. Raw Motorsport, who got a 3rd place finish overall with an excellent drive at Brands Hatch. Steve just losing out to the Porsche a little bit. It's fascinating to see where the strengths and weaknesses of these two cars are. Behind you got Max Coates in the Seat, but here is a mistake running wide for Ian Humphreys. Steve Burgess pounces and he goes through and gains the position. Also a good battle going on here in Class 4. You got the VW of Tim Docker. Right behind him though is the number 74 Forelle Estates Porsche of Michael Price. And then ahead of him, you've got Sarah Moore in the Ginetta. So these 3 cars battling for a place on the podium in Class 4. There is Johnny McGregor, who made a really sharp start to the race from 4th on the grid, and he's ahead of Lucky Kerrer in the McLaren. Not that far clear of him though, but they are both losing out to the race leader. Ross Wiley's trying to make good his escape here. Now Tim Docker having a big look down the inside here to try and gain a place on Sarah Moore. Sarah's super brave on the brakes though, and keeps him behind as they go through the right-left chicane. Just to be defensive here though, because she ran a little bit wide on the exit. Tim Docker has got a good run here. He draws alongside. He's going to be the outside line here. You've got Michael Price just behind trying to nick in there if something happens. Side by side, trying to go around the outside. Still terrific driving from both Sarah Moore and Tim Docker. No contact. They gave each other just enough room. Superb racing. And it's good to see Daniel Woodard back in the championship in this very smart Mini. He leads Class 5. Just underneath the East Midlands Airport here at Donington Park, and you've got a great race going on now between Mark Cunningham and Paul Bailey. The Porsche is a Class 3 car, the Ferrari is a Class 2 car, but they're evenly matched around here. Leading Class 4 in the number 99 DAT Racing Seat is Renault UK Clio Cup Championship contender Max Coates. He's found a way past Graham Roberts in the Ginetta. 3rd in the category is the BPM Motorsport Seat of Martin Byford. The Beluga Porsche there is going slowly on the way into Hollywood. And this is the battle for 4th in Class 4. And it's Tim Docker on the attack again on the way into the chicane. And this time he goes through. Terrific move that. And he's got a clean exit, so the VW moves ahead of the Ginetta of Sarah Moore after a few laps of trying, and Sarah was delayed in all of that, so Michael Price in the Porsche now runs alongside her with a cleaner exit, and he goes through. So Sarah Moore, I'm afraid, down from 4th to 6th in the category. I'm sure she'll try and find a way back into this, and Mo Ritson still to come. And then you've got the Beluga Porsche, I'm afraid, out of the race. Now here is Paul Rose making his way past the Aston Martin. There's contact, bang! Into the barriers goes Paul Rose at Redgate Corner and at high speed. So he was lapping the Aston Martin, and Martin Compton just clipped the back of him, ran into him, outbraked himself, and there was nothing Paul Rose could do about that. So he's out of a potential class podium. It has brought the safety car out while they try to recover Paul's car, and it means the solo drivers, even though it's early in the race, have chosen to pit, get their mandatory pit stop out of the way. Those with 2 drivers have a certain window which they have to make their pit stop. So Tim Docker, one of the drivers, to make advantage of that. It's great to see Paul Rose unharmed after what was a big shunt at Redgate Corner. Johnny McGregor is a solo driver, so he's made a pit stop. And Mark Cunningham normally drives with his dad Peter, but it's just Mark this weekend, so he too has been able to take advantage of the safety car and almost get a free pit stop. There is David Mason, who's getting set to hop into the FF Course Ferrari. The race-leading car here, driven by former champion Ross Wiley. The Scotsman doing his usual exemplary job in the 488s with a clear margin now over Johnny McGregor there in 2nd place. Lee Frost has taken over from his teammate Lucky Kerrer, so the McLaren still runs in 3rd position, but he's being hunted down, look, by the Blue Praga. There's the Rotherham Racing team keeping an eye on the timing screens. That looks like Ash Woodman, who's practicing his braking points by the looks of it as he prepares to take over from Martin Byford. So Martin Compton gets out of the Aston Martin. Warren McKinley gets in. Martin having had that contact with Paul Rose, which ended in a big crash. All the brakes glowing rather there on the Aston Martin. Shows how quickly they go in these cars. They'll be able to put that out no problem. And there's the damage to the front of the car after that contact with the Saker. Speaking of Sakers, looks like that one's either just stopped or had a spin, recovering and going very slowly, is the ALP racing machine, which was running in the top 6. So, driver change, that's Mo Ritson getting into the Top with Motorsport Ginetta, which Sarah Moore was driving earlier on. The teenage racer in his first season of Dunlop Endurance Championship racing, and after a very good stint from Michael Price, Peter Urseg is going to take over the Porsche. Now that safety car really mixed things up in Class 4. Tim Docker took advantage of it, and the VW now leads the category. And this is a squabble for second place. The BPM Seat, the Ginetta of Paul Calladine Motorsport, the former class leaders of DAT Racing in the other Seat. So in comes the race leader, nearly 20 seconds clear of Johnny McGregor, but Johnny's already made his pit stop, and Ross Wiley gets out. David Mason will take over, and Johnny McGregor will now unlap himself, having already made his pit stop, and when it all shakes down, he could be in the lead of the race. Into the closing stages at Donington Park, we've had a late safety car. It's about to go back in, but it's bunched the field all back up together. No problem though for the race leader, Johnny McGregor. He's got loads of cars in between himself and the second place Blue Praga of Tim Gray. He's also a lap up thanks to that early pit stop during the safety car window. You're on board now with the Royal Motorsports Ginetta of Ben Dimmock, putting a lap on the number 99 Guy Colclough DAT racing car, which is trying to finish on the podium in Class 4. The class still being led by Tim Dockett, who's had an excellent race in that great battle early on with Sarah Moore. The reason for the safety car was contact between the FF Course Ferrari of David Mason and the BPM Motorsport Seat of Ash Woodman. So the Ferrari, which was leading the race early on, I'm afraid out completely of contention and maybe not taking part in race 2 either. Back on board with Ben Dimmock, carving his way through the traffic. The Royal Motorsports Ginetta is running second in Class 3 behind the Mark Cunningham Porsche. That was in passing Paul Calladine's Ginetta. And this is the battle for third place overall, and there's contact between the Ferrari of Andy Schultz and the McLaren of Lee Frost as they head onto the back straight out of Coppice Corner. There's almost contact again as they disappear off down towards the chicane. Over the line to start his final lap of the race then is Johnny McGregor. The VW of Class 4 leader Tim Docker about to be lapped by Alan Purbrick in the Saker. That runs in the 7th place overall. He's got Ben Dimmock just behind. He's got the 2nd place Praga trying to come through, and here's the battle for 3rd place. The McLaren is through. So they were running side by side down towards the chicane. Dust is kicked up ahead. Here is a replay of that moment. This is where it all started, and watch the McLaren into the back of Andy Schultz. He does well to control it through Coppice Corner. There he got his nose in front, and he looks like he's going to steal the position as the flag comes out, and Johnny McGregor wins in the Mac G Racing Tyrrell. It's here at Donington Park. 2nd place goes to VR Motorsport, Tim Gray and Alastair Boulton. After that late battle, Simon Green Motorsports, Lee Frost and Lucky Kerr are 3rd, but still winning Class 2, Paul Bailey and Andy Schultz in 4th place overall.
Got a good start, very, very lucky I think with the safety car just to nip past it. Obviously that gained us a lap effectively, although the safety car was quite short actually, so we didn't quite manage to catch up with the train before we dived into the pits, but it all panned out for us.
A second team making their debut this weekend were Rotherham Motorsport, who liked what they saw after watching the previous round at Brands Hatch.
You see what those offering, the setup, track time. It's all done in one day, so there's no overnight accommodation. It's done and dusted in one day. It's perfect for us.
It's been an experience, a big leap to what we've been doing a bit of club racing in, but no, it's very friendly, very good teams out there. But it's been enjoyable. We've had our ups and downs, but it's all part of racing.
We're getting set for race 2 here at Donington Park. The grid based on the race 1 results. But into the garage after the formation lap has gone the Butler Motorsport BMW of Piers Reid. Brake problems all day long, a huge frustration for him. We're about to get everybody else over the line though for the second 1-hour race of the day. And a pole position, Johnny McGregor, the race 1 winner, leads the charge down to Redgate Corner. Another cracking start for Mark Cunningham. Look, in the yellow and black Porsche. It is going to be the McLaren of Lucky Kerr that settles into 2nd place behind Johnny McGregor. There's David Bryce coming past Tim Docker in the Seika. Tim was behind him on the grid, so must have made a good start. It's nose to tail for the lead of the race, though, between the Taranis and the McLaren. The Praga of Alastair Boulton is there in third place, and off the road has gone the number 92 Ginetta of Paul Calladine, one of the key contenders for Class 4 in that race. A good recovery, though. That was a hairy moment down through the Craner curves, and he was lucky not to get collected. Look to the top left of your picture. Oh, there's contact from behind with the BPM Motorsport Seat. So Martin Byford into the back of Paul Calladine, and those two are stablemates, teammates. That's going to be an awkward conversation later on. And that was another charge through from the ALP Racing Seika. David Bryce moving ahead then of the Raw Motorsport machine, driven by Ben Dimmock in this first stint. Over the line at the end of lap 1 then, it's Johnny McGregor leading the way. Tucked in right behind him though is Lucky Kara. These two just edging away. Third, fourth, fifth still running together. Alastair Boulton in the Praga in third place, having started on the front row of the grid. There is Martin Byford then in the number 60 Seat. Didn't look like there was too much damage to the front of the car, so it looks like he's been able to continue on. And there then, the top two make their way into the old hairpin, getting a good exit. The McLaren closing up. It's the battle for fourth place between the Porsche, the Ferrari, and now David Bryce catching up to the tail of Paul Bailey in the 488. So good battles going on here early doors. There's Mo Ritson, who's taking his first start in Brick Car today. He normally goes second behind Sarah Moore, but gaining some rolling start experience, the 16-year-old. And after that spin, that is number 92, Paul Calladine, moving ahead of Steve Rothery. So already starting to catch back up to the pack, but into the pits, I'm afraid, goes Daniel Woodard in the Class 5 Mini. And that's the BMW of Pierce Reed, which we already saw stopping at the end of the formation lap. The leaders, meanwhile, come over the line. Still nose to tail, still with Johnny McGregor ahead. They're being reeled in by the third place, Alastair Boulton Praga. And this is the squabble for fourth place over the line. And there is smoke or fluid coming out of the back of the Ferrari of the championship leaders. It's pouring out of the back, and he's going to slip and slide on his own fluid here and go into a spin. He recovers, Paul Bailey, avoids contact onto the grass, but the damage was already done and there was nothing he could do about that. The fluid was already coming out of the car, and Paul, with quick reactions there, getting off the road and out of the way. Back we come over the line with the top three. The Praga getting bigger and bigger in the mirrors, and Lucky Kara will know that. So there's a look at the inside. There's a lock-up from the race leader, who's having to be forced to brake late here. Lucky Kara applying all the pressure. The slippery surface flags are out because of the fluid that's been put down, and the McLaren comes through. Terrific move that for Lucky Kara, the former BMW racer, a driver who competed last year and this year in the Ginetta GT4 Super Cup on the Toka package. A great move to get the lead away from Johnny McGregor on his home circuit. Johnny from just down the road in Leicestershire. And there we've got the slippery surface flags out as they come through, and the DAT Racing Sound off the road onto the old hairpin. He goes grass tracking on the way out of the turn, but great car control from Max Coates. He's wiped out one of the marker boards, and you come into that same section now with Tim Docker, who's a bit cautious, understandably, with the slippery surface flags out. But the Porsche of Michael Price was not. He went flying past around the outside, and they're running wide. Coming out of McLean's is David Bryce in the Seika. So Ben Dimmock's going to come past him. It's all because of the fluid that's been left down on the circuit by Paul Bailey. We've got another spinner here. Oh, almost getting collected as well by the number 92, Paul Calladine Ginetta. And that was Warren McKinley going around, but he recovers quickly. And that's the Seika having had its excursion slowly and into the pits. So as it got some damage after going off the road. Steve Harris in the number 4 Seika, happy to see that repaired. And Paul Rose is going to be his teammate after coming together in race 1 with this car. Get a replay now of Warren McKinley's spin. I think it's probably because there was some fluid down there that he lost the back ends of the Aston Martin Vantage, but he did well to keep it out of further trouble. Graham Roberts then getting ready to get into the car, and they're out of the race with suspected gearbox problems, I'm afraid, the BPM Motorsport car. We've got this battle for the lead still coming through. The McLaren still just ahead of the Taranis. The Praga, which was right with them, is now in for its pit stop. Tim Gray is going to take over for the second stint, and this is the battle which has been raging on for a few laps now between Tim Docker in the VW and up ahead the Porsche of Michael Price. It's been a pretty good race so far, this, for Raw Motorsports. They could get a top 5 finish out of this. They've picked up the class lead because Mark Cunningham has come in to make his pit stop. Back out, but having lost the lap, is the ALP Racing Seika. There's the other Seika. and that could get a top 6 finish here as well. Johnny McGregor coming up to lap it and getting it wrong, coming out of McLean's. Big slide through the gravel trap. But again, great reactions and great car control to avoid the spin. Hopefully he's not done the tyres too much damage here. The car just snapped away from him and he got on the brakes, but the gravel trap awaits pretty quickly if you get it wrong coming out of McLean's. He did very well though, as I say, not to go further into it. Well, it's been a dramatic race too here so far, plenty to talk about. This has been one of the battles though. Tim Docker's been in all the battles so far today in Class 4, and now he gets a terrific run coming out of the Roberts chicane over the line. He's going to nose back ahead of Michael Price in the Porsche. There is the fastest man on the circuit at the moment, Tim Gray, and if he keeps these lap times up, by the time the others do their pit stops, he could be the new race leader, because the Praga wasn't that far behind the Tiranis or the McLaren in the first place. You've been on board with Tim Docker, who's looking to try and get a podium finish in Class 4, but he's being hunted down by the number 92 Ginetta of Graham Roberts. Into the closing stages, there's Max Coates in the middle of the picture, who has given his teammate the Class 4 lead after an excellent first stint. The DAT Racing Guy Colclough driven Seat is the Class 4 leader, but the overall race leader is Tim Gray. So VR Motorsport looking for their 3rd win of the season. The McLaren, now driven by Lee Frost, has emerged in 2nd place, and Johnny McGregor, winner of race 1, is 3rd place, but a spin for Guy Colclough coming out of the chicane, and he's going to lose the class lead. So through comes Graham Roberts, who's already dispatched of Tim Docker. There is Tim Docker with the onboard camera, 3rd in the category, and he'll be closing down as well. So Roberts now needs Class 4. After that spin, it's the 99 Seat in 2nd place, but he's being hunted down by Tim Docker. Onto the final lap, and there is the Class 3 leader, Steve Burgess for Forelle Motorsport, an excellent 4th place overall, and about to lap the 6th place car of Mark Cunningham, who's 2nd in Class 3. And in between them, it's going to be a 5th place finish for Paul Rose and Steve Harris after their troubles in race 1. But here is the checkered flag, a comfortable victory, the 3rd of the season for Tim Gray and Alastair Boulton for VR Motorsport. There's still some battles to be decided on track though. 2nd in Class 4, and that's Tim Docker making his way past ahead of the DAT Racing Seat. A win though for Paul Calladine and Graham Roberts. Excellent results after they were off on the first lap of the race and dropped to the very back of the field.
I knew the big engine cars would get a run on us down to Redgate on the first lap. I thought if I can just hold on to the back of them, they were dicing the Tiranis and the McLaren. Really, really good to watch, and I could just hang on the back of them, and I thought if I do that, we get a good pit stop, then we got a really good chance.
You know, we go to Alton Park next with loads of momentum, loads of confidence. The car's brilliant. You know, team really happy with how they've performed. We're happy how we've performed. It's a really good, positive weekend for us.
And let's hear from our Class 4 winners, who finished an excellent 7th overall.
I just literally got my head down and started basically doing quali laps for like half an hour, pretty much, just to catch people. And literally within 5 minutes, I'd caught the leader of the class. But sadly robbed us a little bit of a battle because he lost it out the final chicane. But it was a really good race, and then just controlled the pace and just kept it on the track before to finish.
Congratulations to Craig, the lads, the team. They did a fantastic job. The car just got better and better and better through the weekend. It was easier to drive in the second race on worn tyres than on new tyres because they made some changes. So actually, they did all the work for me.
So VR Motorsport close in at the top of the championship table. Next time we head to Alton Park for round 5 of the Dunlop Endurance Championship.